5 years had passed since the day humans appeared at the Council homeworld. The galaxy was still adjusting to the new reality. Ha Young looked out at the space station that orbited between Earth and the Council territories. It was called Harmony Station, and it represented everything that had changed. Human and alien engineers had built it together. Human and alien families lived there together. Human and alien children played together in the corridors. Still hard to believe, is it not? Taman said as he joined her at the observation deck. Which part? Ha Young asked. That we were so wrong about humans, or that everything worked out so well? Both, Taman replied with a smile. The transition had not been easy. When Ambassador Unji first offered the Council their choice, many members had wanted to fight. They could not accept that their centuries of dominance were ending. But wiser voices had prevailed. Species like Ha Young's people had seen what human technology could do. They understood that a war against humanity would be devastating for everyone involved. The Council had split into 3 groups. The first group, led by Ha Young's species and several others, had accepted human partnership immediately. They found that humans were generous allies who shared technology freely and honored their agreements completely. The second group had chosen isolation, refusing to deal with humans at all. They maintained their old territories and their old ways, but they found themselves increasingly left behind as the galaxy moved forward without them. The third group had tried to maintain their old dominance through force. That had not ended well for them. Look, Taman said, pointing to a large ship approaching the station. The new Earth colony ship. Ha Young watched the massive vessel dock at the station. It carried 10,000 human colonists heading to establish a new settlement in the Andromeda sector, but it also carried alien families who had chosen to join the human expansion. That still amazes me, she said. Humans could have taken whatever territory they wanted after proving their strength. Instead, they ask permission and share everything. They build. It is the same pattern we see everywhere, Taman agreed. Human colonies that welcome alien residents. Human research stations that share their discoveries, human trade routes that benefit everyone. A message arrived on Ha Young's personal communicator. Admiral Inho was requesting a meeting. She found that interesting. The Admiral rarely left Earth these days. An hour later, she met with Inho in one of the station's conference rooms. The human military leader looked older but more relaxed than she remembered from their first encounters. Thank you for meeting with me, Inho said. I wanted to discuss the situation in the outer sectors. The resistance movements? Ha Young asked. Yes, 3 species are still trying to organize military action against human colonies. They believe they can succeed where the Council failed. Ha Young sighed. Some beings never learned from history. What will you do? She asked. The same thing we always do, Inho replied. We will defend our people and our territory, but we will try to minimize the damage to everyone else. You could end those movements quickly if you wanted to. Inho nodded. We could, but that would require destroying entire fleets and occupying their homeworlds. We prefer to let them exhaust themselves against our defenses until they realize the futility of their actions. And if they do not realize it, then eventually we will have to teach them the same lesson we taught the Council. But we hope it does not come to that. Ha Young studied the human admiral. Even now, facing potential enemies, he seemed more concerned about avoiding unnecessary conflict than about winning quickly. Why? She asked. Why do humans always choose the harder path? Inho considered the question carefully before answering. Because the harder path usually leads to better outcomes for everyone. Quick victories often create lasting resentments. Patient victories create lasting peace. A communication alert interrupted their conversation. The message was from Mi Young, the human ambassador to the Centauri Federation. Her news was good. Another major species had decided to join the growing alliance of equals that was replacing the old council system. That makes 47 species now, Inho said with satisfaction. More than half the galaxy has chosen cooperation over conquest. And the others? They will change eventually. Or their children will. The universe rewards Adaptation and isolation is not a good long-term strategy. Later that evening, Ha Young found herself in the station's observation lounge with a group of friends, both human and alien. They were celebrating the completion of a joint research project that had developed new methods for terraforming hostile planets. Sang-ho, the lead human scientist on the project, was explaining how the new technology would allow dozens of species to colonize worlds that had previously been uninhabitable. The best part, he said enthusiastically, is that it works differently for different species. We can customize the terraforming process based on the specific needs of whoever wants to live there. Even for species with completely different environmental requirements? Asked one of the alien researchers. Especially for those, Sang-ho replied. Diversity makes everything stronger. The more different kinds of people we can support, the more stable our colonies become. Ha Young listened to the conversation and marveled at how much had changed. 5 years ago, the idea of humans sharing advanced technology with aliens would have seemed impossible. Now it happened so routinely that no one even thought it was remarkable. A young human girl, maybe 10 years old, ran through the lounge chasing an alien child of a similar age. They were playing some kind of tag game that involved both running and flying. The sight made Ha Young smile. That is the real victory, Taemin said, noticing her expression. Not the military battles or the diplomatic agreements. That right. They're children who cannot imagine a galaxy where different species do not cooperate. It makes you wonder what other mistakes we made over the centuries, Ha Young replied. How many species did we misjudge? How many potential partners did we turn into enemies through our arrogance? At least we learned from this one, Taemin said as the evening continued. Ha Young reflected on the strange path that had brought them all to this point. The Council's attempt to subjugate humanity had revealed the weakness of their entire system. Force might create temporary compliance, but only respect created lasting cooperation. Humans had taught the galaxy a new way to relate to each other, not through dominance and submission, but through mutual benefit and shared strength. It was a harder way to build a civilization, but it was also a more stable one. The old galaxy had been held together by fear of the Council's power, fear of conquest, fear of being left alone and defenseless. The new galaxy was being held together by hope for better lives, hope for shared prosperity, hope for a future where differences were celebrated rather than eliminated. As Ha Young prepared to return to her quarters, she received one final message of the day. It was from Wu Jin, now serving as Earth's senior diplomatic representative. The Andromedan expedition has made contact with 7 new species, the message read. All are interested in joining our alliance. None required military persuasion. Ha Young smiled as she read the report. Humans were still exploring, still expanding, still growing stronger. But they were doing it in a way that made everyone else stronger too. That was the real lesson of the human story. Power was not about the ability to destroy enemies. True power was about the ability to turn enemies into friends. And in that lesson, humans had not just saved themselves. They had saved the entire galaxy from its own worst impulses. The age of conquest was over. The age of cooperation had begun, and it was going to be wonderful. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was unlike anything in their long history. Representatives from hundreds of worlds had gathered to discuss the human situation. Fear and confusion filled the great chamber. Ha Young stood before the Council's leadership, holding the complete analysis she and her team had prepared. Beside her, Taemin looked nervous but determined. They were about to tell the most powerful beings in the galaxy that they had made a terrible mistake. Explain to us how a primitive species defeated our fleet, demanded Council Leader Veltar, his forearms gesturing angrily. That is the problem, Leader, Ha Young replied. Humans were never primitive. We just thought they were. She activated the holographic display, showing the Council 300 years of surveillance data reanalyzed with their new understanding. Every assumption we made about humanity was wrong, she continued. We saw what we expected to see, not what was actually there. The display showed human children playing games, but now the Council could see these were not simple games. They were complex tactical training exercises disguised as entertainment. Human education does not just teach knowledge, Timon explained. It teaches strategy, cooperation, and problem-solving under pressure. What we called play was actually military preparation. You are saying their entire species has military training? Asked another council member. Not just training, Ha-Young replied. They have a way of thinking that makes them natural warriors. But they choose not to use that ability unless they have no other option. The display changed to show human industrial facilities. We thought they were inefficient because they produced more than they needed. But they were not being inefficient. They were preparing for siege conditions. Look at their space exploration, Taemin added. Every colony, every research station, every mining operation is positioned to control strategic resources or defend key locations. This is not random expansion. This is careful military planning. Council leader Veltar leaned forward. Are you telling us they have been preparing for war against us for centuries? Not war against us specifically, Ha-Young replied, but war against anyone who might threaten their independence. They studied every major galactic power and prepared counters for all of our capabilities. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Representatives demanded immediate military action. Others called for economic warfare. Some suggested negotiating from a position of strength, but Ha-Young was not finished. There is something else you need to understand. The fleet that defeated Commander Kang Ho was not humanity's full military capability. It was just what they needed for that specific situation. Silence fell over the chamber. What do you mean? Veltar asked quietly. Admiral In-Ho used exactly the minimum force necessary to make his point. His ships could have destroyed the entire council fleet, but they chose not to. They disabled one ship as a demonstration, then offered to let the rest withdraw safely. Taemin stepped forward. This is the most important thing about humans. They do not fight to destroy their enemies. They fight to achieve specific goals. Once those goals are met, they stop fighting. That makes no sense, protested a council member. Victory means total defeat of the enemy. Not to humans, Ha-Young replied. To humans, victory means achieving their objectives while minimizing unnecessary destruction. They see war as a tool, not as an end in itself. The display changed again, showing recent events. After the battle, what did humans do? Did they press their advantage? Did they attack our other ships? Did they demand tribute or territory? No, Veltar admitted reluctantly. They offered medical assistance to the damaged ship. They opened communication channels for negotiation. They made it clear they wanted to end the conflict, not escalate it. The chamber was quiet as the council absorbed this information. So, what are you recommending? Veltar asked. Before Ha-Young could answer, alarms began sounding throughout the facility. Emergency lights flashed as security officers rushed through the corridors. What is happening? Veltar demanded. A security chief appeared on the main screen. Sir, we have detected unauthorized ships approaching the council homeworld. They appeared suddenly, as if from nowhere. How many ships? Just 3, sir. But they match the design of human vessels observed in the recent conflict. Ha-Young felt her heart racing. Had humans decided to attack the council directly? Put them on screen, Veltar ordered. The image changed to show 3 sleek human ships approaching the planet. They were moving slowly, clearly not in attack formation. Incoming transmission, the security chief reported. Put it through. A human woman appeared on the screen. She was middle-aged, professionally dressed, and completely calm despite being in the heart of council space. Greetings, she said in perfect galactic standard. I am Yunji, ambassador from Earth. I request permission to address the Galactic Council. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. A human ambassador, here at the council homeworld, acting as if she had every right to be there. How did you get past our defenses? Veltar asked. The same way we have been observing your activities for the past century, Yunji replied. Our technology is more advanced than you realized. This is an act of war. No, Yunji said firmly. This is diplomacy. I am here to prevent a war, not start one. She gestured to someone off-screen. 2 more humans appeared beside her, a man in scientific robes and another in military uniform. This is Chang Min, our chief scientist, and Seok Jin, our military attaché. We have come to offer the council a choice. What choice? Veltar asked suspiciously. The choice between cooperation and conflict, Yunji replied. Between partnership and isolation. Between peace and war. Chang Min stepped forward. We have brought gifts to demonstrate our good intentions. He held up a small device. This is a medical scanner that can detect diseases decades before your current technology. We offer to share this and other innovations with any species willing to treat us as equals. And if we refuse? Another council member asked. Seok Jin spoke for the first time. His voice was quiet but carried absolute confidence. Then you will discover that humans are much harder to conquer than you believed, and much more dangerous when we are forced to defend ourselves. Is that a threat? It is a fact, Seokjin replied. We did not come here to threaten anyone. We came here to offer friendship. But we will not submit to conquest, no matter how powerful our enemies believe themselves to be. Yunji addressed the entire council. For 300 years you have watched us without understanding what you were seeing. You saw a peaceful species and assumed we were weak. You saw cooperation and assumed we were submissive. You saw preparation and assumed we were primitive. She paused, letting her words sink in. But we were never any of those things. We were a species that had learned the most important lesson of survival, that the strong do not always win, but the prepared almost always do. Hai Young realized that this moment would change everything. The council could no longer pretend that humans were just another species to be integrated. They were facing equals who demanded to be treated as such. The age of council dominance was ending. The age of true galactic cooperation was about to begin, but first the council had to choose which future they wanted to live in. Wu Jin sat across from Commander Kang Ho in the same conference room where they had first met. This time the atmosphere felt different, more tense. The commander's smile seemed forced, and his officers looked impatient. Have you had enough time to consider our generous offer? Kang Ho asked. We have, Wu Jin replied calmly. And we are grateful for your interest in our world. However, we must respectfully decline integration at this time. The silence that followed was uncomfortable. Kang Ho's smile disappeared completely. I am not sure you understand, the commander said slowly. This is not really a choice. Every species in this galaxy accepts council protection. It is how civilization works. Bora, sitting beside Wu Jin, spoke up. We do understand, Commander. We have studied how your integration process works with other species. We simply prefer to remain independent. Independent? Kang Ho laughed, but it was not a happy sound. You are a single planet with primitive technology. Independence is not possible for a species like yours. Dong Hyun, the third human at the table, opened a data pad. Actually, we have done some economic analysis of your integration terms. The resource quotas you require would strip our planet of most valuable materials within 50 years. The trade agreements would make our people dependent on your technology, while providing very little in return. Kang Ho's face was becoming red with anger. Those terms are standard for all client species. They ensure proper cooperation and prevent conflicts. We are sure they do, Wu Jin said politely. But we would prefer a different kind of relationship. We could offer true partnership instead. Equal trade, mutual defense, shared research, benefits for both our civilizations. Equal partnership? Kang Ho stood up from his chair. You have nothing to offer that we need. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your military is practically non-existent. Our military serves our purposes, Bora said quietly. Something in her tone made Ha Young, who had been watching from the side, feel worried. The human woman's voice was still polite, but there was something underneath it. Something hard. Let me make this simple, Kang Ho said, leaning forward. You have 2 choices. Accept integration willingly, or we will apply economic pressure until you have no choice but to accept. Economic pressure? Dong Hyun asked, sounding curious rather than worried. Trade restrictions, resource limitations, technology embargoes. Most species realize quickly that cooperation is much easier than isolation. Wu Jin nodded thoughtfully. And if economic pressure does not work? Kang Ho's smile returned, but it was cold now. It always works. But if it did not, there are other forms of pressure we could apply. You mean military pressure, Bora said. It was not a question. I mean whatever pressure is necessary to help you see reason, Kang Ho replied. The humans looked at each other. Ha Young noticed they did not seem afraid. They seemed like they were having a silent conversation with their eyes. We understand your position, Wu Jin said finally. We hope you will understand ours as well. Humans do not respond well to threats. That is not a threat, Kang Ho said angrily. That is simply how the galaxy works. Strong species protect weak ones. In return, weak species contribute what they can. And who decides which species are strong and which are weak? Bora asked. Reality decides, Kang Ho replied. Look at the facts. We have ships that could destroy your entire planet. We control resources from 1,000 worlds. We have weapons you cannot even imagine. That does sound impressive, Dong Hyun agreed. But strength comes in many forms. What other forms? Kang Ho demanded. Patience, Wu Jin answered. Preparation. The willingness to do what is necessary when there is no other choice. Ha Young felt a chill run through her. The humans were still speaking politely, but their words carried a weight that made her nervous. I think this meeting is over, Kang Ho said, standing up. You have 1 month to reconsider our offer. After that, we will begin applying pressure. I suggest you use that time wisely. As the aliens prepared to leave, Wu Jin spoke one more time. Before you go, I should mention that Admiral In-ho sends his regards. He looks forward to meeting you soon. Who is Admiral In-ho? Kang Ho asked. Our military commander, Wu Jin replied. He wanted me to tell you that he appreciates the opportunity to demonstrate human hospitality. After the aliens left, Kang Ho was confident that the humans would surrender within weeks. Every species did once they understood the reality of their situation. But Ha Young was not confident at all. She had noticed things during the meeting that worried her, the way the humans never seemed surprised by anything Kang Ho said, the way they asked specific questions about Council military capabilities, the way they mentioned their admiral at the end. Back on the human station, Wu Jin contacted Earth immediately. How did it go? Admiral In-ho asked when his face appeared on the screen. Exactly as you predicted, Wu Jin replied. They see negotiation as weakness, they interpret politeness as submission, they believe their own propaganda about human capabilities. And the timeline? 1 month before they begin, what they call applying pressure, In-ho nodded. More than enough time. Are our people in position? All outer colonies have been evacuated to safe positions. Defense platforms are online but hidden. The fleet is ready but staying out of sight. Good. And the civilian populations? They know this day might come, Wu Jin said. They are afraid, but they trust us to protect them. We will not let them down, In-ho promised. Meanwhile, on the council ships, Kang Ho was already planning his pressure campaign. Economic sanctions would begin immediately. If those failed, a show of military force would convince the humans to see reason. Ha Young tried one more time to warn him. Commander, I really think we should reconsider this approach. There are things about humans we do not understand. There is nothing to understand, Kang Ho replied. They are a backward species that needs guidance. Once they experience real pressure, they will be grateful for our protection. But what if they fight back? Kang Ho laughed. With what? Their primitive ships? Their simple weapons? Ha Young, you worry too much. This will be over in a few weeks. 3 weeks later, the economic sanctions had no effect. Human colonies continued operating normally. Their trade continued with species the Council had not contacted yet. Their industrial production actually increased. How is this possible? Kang Ho demanded. Subin had been monitoring the situation. It appears humans have been preparing for economic isolation for many years. They have stockpiled resources and developed alternative trade relationships. Alternative trade relationships with whom? Species in distant sectors that the Council has not integrated yet. Species that seem very interested in human technology and goods. Kang Ho was furious. Impossible. Human technology is primitive. Actually, Subin said carefully, some of their recent innovations appear to be quite advanced. Much more advanced than our previous assessments indicated. Show me, Kang Ho ordered. The data Subin presented was shocking. Human ships had been observed using propulsion systems more efficient than Council technology. Human colonies were producing energy at rates that should have been impossible with their known resources. Human communication networks operated on principles the Council had never seen before. Where did this technology come from? Kang Ho asked. We are not sure, Subin admitted, but it appears they have been developing it for decades without us noticing. Ha-Young felt sick. Commander, I think humans have been hiding their true capabilities from us all along. Why would they do that? Because they knew this day would come, Ha-Young realized. They knew eventually someone would try to force them into submission. So they prepared. Kang Ho stared at the data, finally beginning to understand the trap he had walked into. But his pride would not let him back down. Now, prepare the fleet, he ordered. It is time for a military demonstration. Ha-Young could not sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw those human ships moving in perfect formation. She had been a military analyst for 20 years. She knew the difference between ceremony and readiness. The next morning, she found Taemin in the research lab. He was reviewing old surveillance files, looking troubled. Did you find something? She asked. I am not sure, he replied. I have been looking at human military training, what we thought were games and sports. Ha-Young sat down beside him. On the screen, young humans were running through obstacle courses, carrying heavy equipment, working as teams to solve complex problems. Look at this, Taemin said. We labeled this as educational activities for children. But watch carefully. The video showed human teenagers in a competition. They had to navigate through a maze while avoiding detection, capture objectives, and escape without being caught. They moved with incredible coordination and speed. This is not a game, Ha-Young realized. This is military training. And here, Taemin continued, showing another file. We called this recreational entertainment. The new video showed humans playing what looked like a war simulation, but the tactics they used were more advanced than anything Ha-Young had seen from most galactic military forces. The humans were not just playing, they were learning to think like soldiers. Call Subin, Ha-Young said. We need her analysis skills. Subin arrived an hour later. She was young but brilliant with data patterns. Ha-Young and Taemin explained what they had found. You want me to reanalyze 300 years of surveillance data? Subin asked. Yes, Ha-Young replied. But this time, do not assume humans are peaceful. Look at everything as if they might be preparing for war. Subin worked for 3 days straight. When she finished, her face was pale with worry. You were right, she told them. Everything changes when you look at it differently. She showed them her results on a large screen. These are not peaceful activities. These are the activities of a species that is constantly preparing for conflict. The data was frightening. Human children learned tactics and strategy through games. Human adults practiced combat skills they called sports. Human governments ran exercises they called disaster preparation, but which looked exactly like military operations. Look at this, Subin said, pointing to economic data. Humans produce far more food than they need. They store massive amounts of raw materials. They have manufacturing capacity that could quickly switch from making cars to making weapons. Maybe they are just careful planners, Taemin suggested hopefully. No, Subin replied. Look at their space program. We thought they were exploring for scientific curiosity, but notice where they put their bases and research stations. She highlighted locations throughout the solar system. Every human outpost is positioned to control key resources or strategic positions. This is not exploration. This is military expansion disguised as science. Ha-Young felt sick. How did we miss this? Because we saw what we expected to see, Subin explained. When the Council first observed humans, they were fighting brutal wars, so we watched for signs of war. When the wars stopped, we assumed they had become peaceful, but we never considered that they might have just gotten better at avoiding wars. They did not want to fight. A message arrived on Ha-Young's communication device. Commander Kang Ho wanted to see her immediately. In the commander's office, Kang Ho looked annoyed. "The humans are being difficult," he said. "They have sent more questions about our integration offer. They want to know about resource quotas, military obligations, and territorial boundaries." "What did you tell them?" Ha-Young asked. "The truth," Kang Ho replied. "That client species do not need to worry about such details. The Council makes those decisions for them." Ha-Young felt a chill run down her spine. "Commander, I need to share some new analysis with you." She tried to explain what she and her team had discovered, but Kang Ho was not interested in listening. "You are overthinking this," he said dismissively. "I have integrated dozens of species. The pattern is always the same. First they ask questions, then they realize they have no choice, then they accept our protection gratefully." "But what if humans are different?" Ha-Young insisted. "They are not different," Kang Ho said firmly. "They are a primitive species with no real military power. Our scans show they have basic weapons and small ships. If they resist integration, we will simply apply pressure until they see reason." After leaving the commander's office, Ha-Young contacted a human communication channel. She requested a meeting with their diplomatic team. To her surprise, they agreed immediately. 2 days later, she met with Wu Jin and another human named Jae-wook. The meeting took place on the human station again. This time, Ha-Young paid closer attention to everything around her. The station looked civilian, but she noticed details she had missed before. The walls were thicker than necessary for a peaceful structure. The corridors were designed to allow quick movement of large numbers of people. The docking bays could handle ships much larger than anything humans had officially shown them. "Thank you for meeting with us," Wu Jin said politely. "We hope to better understand your people." "I want to understand yours as well," Ha-Young replied. "May I ask you something directly?" "Of course. Are humans really as peaceful as you appear?" Wu Jin exchanged a look with Jae-wook before answering. "We prefer peace, certainly, but we have learned that lasting peace requires strength." "What kind of strength?" Ha-Young asked. Jae-wook spoke for the first time. "The strength to defend what we value, and the wisdom to know when fighting is necessary and when it is not. Your commander Kang Ho seems to believe fighting is never necessary for humans," Wu Jin said carefully. Ha-Young felt her heart racing. What would happen if he is wrong about that? "We hope he is not wrong," Jae-wook replied. "Because if humans are forced to fight, we fight to win, and we have had a very long time to learn how to win." The meeting ended soon after. As Ha-Young returned to her ship, she realized that everything the Council thought about humanity was backwards. They were not weak species becoming civilized. They were apex predators who had learned to choose their battles carefully. That night, she sent an urgent report to the Council. She detailed all the evidence her team had found. She warned that humanity was far more dangerous than they appeared. She recommended treating them as equals rather than subjects. The Council's response arrived the next morning. Her report had been filed and would be reviewed eventually. In the meantime, Commander Kang Ho had been authorized to proceed with standard integration protocols. Ha-Young stared at the message in horror. The Council was about to make the biggest mistake in galactic history. They were about to threaten a species that had spent centuries preparing for exactly this situation. And the worst part was, humans had been trying to avoid this confrontation from the very beginning. But the Council's arrogance would not let them see it. Down on Earth, Admiral In-ho received a report about Ha-Young's warnings to her superiors. He was not surprised that the aliens had ignored the warning. In his experience, civilizations that had dominated others for too long always made the same mistake. They forgot that there were still predators in the universe, predators who had learned patience. The waiting was almost over. Taemin stared at the blue planet through the observation deck. Earth looked peaceful from this distance. White clouds moved slowly across green and brown lands. The ocean sparkled under the yellow sun. It was hard to believe that billions of creatures lived down there. Another boring report? Young asked as she walked up beside him. She carried a datapad in her hands. The same as always, Taemin replied. The humans are still being humans. They work, they eat, they sleep. They help each other when there are problems. Very quiet. Very safe. Young looked at the planet below. She had been watching Earth for 2 years now. Something felt wrong. To her, but she could not explain what it was. The Galactic Council said humans were a Tier 7 species. That meant they were harmless. They did not fight big wars. They did not have strong weapons. They would be happy to join the galaxy as a client. Species. Look at this, Taemin said, showing her his screen. Yesterday there was an earthquake in the eastern continent. The humans sent help from all over the planet. Ships, planes, people, food, medicine. They did not ask for payment. They just helped. That does sound very peaceful, Young agreed. But something in her mind was still not right. The door opened behind them. Commander Kang Ho walked in with several other officers. He looked confident and pleased. Good news, Kang Ho announced. The Council has approved the integration plan. We will make first contact with Earth next week. I will lead the mission, myself. Taemin smiled. That is wonderful, Commander. The humans will be so grateful for our protection. Of course they will, Kang Ho said. Every species is grateful when we offer them safety and guidance. These humans seem especially harmless. The integration should be very smooth. Young nodded, but she did not speak. She had read the reports from other worlds. Most species were afraid when the big alien ships arrived. They usually surrendered quickly when they saw the Council's power, but something told her that humans might be different. A week later, the Council fleet approached Earth. Young watched from the bridge as 3 large ships moved toward the planet. The ships were designed to look impressive. Their weapons were clearly visible. Most species saw these ships and immediately understood who was in charge. Contact from the humans, the communication officer reported. Put them on the main screen, Kang Ho ordered. A human face appeared on the screen. He was a middle-aged man with dark hair and calm eyes. He looked completely relaxed. Welcome to Earth, the human said in perfect galactic standard language. I am Wu Jin, Earth's diplomatic representative. We are honored by your visit. Kang Ho was surprised. Most species were nervous during first contact. This human seemed almost casual about it. I am Commander Kang Ho of the Galactic Council, he replied. We come to offer your species membership in our great civilization. You will receive our protection and guidance. Wu Jin smiled politely. That is very kind of you. We would like to learn more about this offer. Perhaps we could meet in person to discuss the details. Of course, Kang Ho agreed. We will send shuttles to your planet. Actually, Wu Jin said, we have prepared a meeting place in space. It will be more comfortable for both our species. We will send coordinates. Young frowned. Most species wanted the aliens to come to their homeworld. It showed they trusted the Council. Why did the humans want to meet in space? An hour later, the Council shuttles approached the meeting coordinates. Young saw a large human space station waiting for them. It looked simple and peaceful, with many windows and docking ports. But something about it made her feel uneasy. Look at their escort ships, she whispered to Taemin. 6 human vessels were positioned around the station. They were smaller than the Council ships, but they moved in perfect formation. Every turn, every adjustment was exactly synchronized. Young had seen military formations before. These ships moved like they had trained together for years. They are probably just being polite, Taemin replied, showing us honor by sending their best ships. But Young noticed something else. The human ships were not trying to look impressive. They were not showing off their weapons. They just moved with quiet efficiency, like they did not need to prove anything. The meeting took place in a large conference room on the station. Wu Jin was there with several other humans. They all seemed calm and friendly. They offered food and drinks. They asked questions about the Council and other species in the galaxy. Kang Ho explained the integration process. Your world will become a protected member of our civilization. We will provide defense, technology, and guidance. In return, your planet will contribute resources and follow council laws. What kind of resources? Asked one of the humans, a woman named Bo-Ra. The usual materials, Kang Ho replied. Metals, energy sources, agricultural products. Nothing too difficult for your species to provide. And what if we prefer to remain independent? Wu Jin asked quietly. Kang Ho laughed. Independence is not practical for a species at your level of development. The galaxy can be dangerous. You need protection. We appreciate your concern, Wu Jin said, but humans have survived many dangers before. We would like some time to consider your offer. Kang Ho's smile became less friendly. Of course. But please understand, this offer will not remain open forever. Other species have learned that cooperation with the Council is always the best choice. After the meeting, the Council officers returned to their ships. Kang Ho was annoyed but not worried. Every species needed time to understand their situation. The humans would accept integration soon enough, but Ha Young could not stop thinking about what she had seen. The human ships, the way Wu Jin had asked, his questions, the calm confidence in their voices. Time in, she said. I want to review our surveillance data again. Why? We have watched them for 300 years. We know everything about them. Do we? Ha Young asked. When did humans last fight a major war? Taiman checked his files. About 60 years ago. It was a small conflict over territory. It ended quickly with very few casualties. And before that? Let me see. There was another small war about 90 years ago. And another 120 years ago. All very brief conflicts with low death counts. Ha Young studied the numbers. Taiman, look at this pattern. 300 years ago, humans fought terrible wars that killed millions. But in the last century, their wars have become smaller and shorter. Yes, Taiman agreed. It proves they are becoming more peaceful, more civilized. Or, Ha Young said slowly, it proves they are becoming more efficient at preventing wars before they start. Taiman looked confused. What do you mean? Ha Young pulled up more data on her screen. What if humans have not stopped being dangerous? What if they have just gotten so good at being dangerous that nobody wants to fight them anymore? She showed him video footage from the meeting. Look at their escort ships again. Look how they move. That is not the movement of peaceful traders. Taiman, that is the movement of predators. Taiman stared at the screen. For the first time, he began to wonder if the Council had made a mistake about humanity. A very big mistake. Down on the planet below, in a military command center that the aliens had never detected, Admiral Inho was already preparing for what would come next, because humans had been watching the Watchers for a very long time, and they had learned exactly what kind of species the Galactic Council really was. Admiral Inho stood on the bridge of the human flagship, watching the Council fleet approach. 15 alien warships moved toward the outer human colonies in perfect formation. They were impressive vessels, designed to intimidate as much as to fight. They are exactly where we expected them to be, reported Captain Yu Jin from her position at the tactical station. She was young for a ship captain, but Inho trusted her completely. Status of our forces? Inho asked. All ships are in position, Yu Jin replied. The aliens cannot see us yet, but we have them completely surrounded. And the civilians? All evacuated to safe zones. The colonies they are targeting are empty except for automated systems. Inho nodded. He had hoped it would not come to this, but humans had learned long ago that hope was not a strategy. Preparation was. On the Council flagship, Commander Kang Ho was feeling confident again. The human colonies ahead looked defenseless. A few quick strikes would show Earth that resistance was pointless. Target the mining station on the third planet, he ordered. Destroy it completely. That should send a clear message. Sir, his tactical officer reported, I am detecting some strange readings. What kind of readings? Energy signatures that do not match anything in our databases. They seem to be coming from empty space around us. Ha Young, monitoring from the science station, felt her worst fears coming true. Commander, I recommend we withdraw immediately. Withdraw? Kang Ho demanded. From what? There are no human ships visible. That might be the problem, Ha Young whispered. Before Kang Ho could respond, space around the Council fleet suddenly filled with human vessels. They appeared as if from nowhere, dropping some kind of concealment technology that the aliens had never seen before. Where did they come from? Kang Ho shouted. His tactical officer was frantically working at his console. I count 37 human ships, sir. They have us completely surrounded. Impossible. Our intelligence said humans only had a few dozen ships total. Our intelligence was wrong, Ha Young said quietly. A communication signal came from the human fleet. Admiral Inho's face appeared on the main screen. He looked calm and professional, like this was a routine military exercise. Commander Kang Ho, Inho said politely. I am Admiral Inho of the Earth Defense Force. I believe you wanted to meet me. This is an illegal act of aggression, Kang Ho replied angrily. You are attacking Council vessels in Council space. Actually, Inho said, checking a data pad, this is human space. We established colonies here over 50 years ago, and we are not attacking anyone. We are simply defending our territory. Your territory? This sector belongs to the Council. According to whose law? Inho asked. Did the Council ask permission from the species already living here before claiming ownership? Did you negotiate with the local governments, or did you simply decide that might makes right? Kang Ho was speechless for a moment. No one had ever questioned Council authority so directly. It does not matter, he said finally. You are outnumbered and outgunned. Surrender now and this incident can be forgotten. Inho smiled. It was not a cruel smile, but it was not warm, either. Commander, I think there has been a misunderstanding. Let me clarify our position. He nodded to someone off-screen. Suddenly, the Council ships found themselves locked onto by targeting systems from every direction. Alarms began ringing. On every bridge, how are they doing that? Kang Ho's weapons officer asked in panic. Their targeting computers are bypassing our defensive systems completely. As you can see, Inho continued calmly, we have been preparing for this conversation for quite some time. We know the specifications of your ships, the capabilities of your weapons, and the weaknesses in your defensive systems. How is that possible? We have been watching you watch us for 300 years, Commander. Did you really think we were not learning anything during that time? Yujin spoke from her position. Admiral, the alien ships are powering weapons. I see that, Inho replied. Commander Kang Ho, I strongly advise against any aggressive action. Your weapons cannot penetrate our defensive systems, but ours can certainly penetrate yours. You are bluffing, Kang Ho said, but his voice lacked confidence. Am I? Shall we test that theory? One of the Council ships, smaller than the flagship, suddenly fired at the nearest human vessel. The energy beam struck what looked like empty space around the human ship and simply disappeared. Fascinating, Inho said, as if he was observing a science experiment. Your weapons use focused particle beams, very effective against most materials, but completely useless against properly configured energy fields. The human ship that had been fired upon returned fire immediately. Its weapon struck the alien vessel and passed straight through its shields as if they were not there. The ship's engines exploded, leaving it drifting helplessly in space. How? Kang Ho whispered. Different technology, different principles, Inho explained. We studied your defensive systems and designed our weapons specifically to counter them, just as we studied your weapons and designed our defenses to neutralize them. Captain Yujin was coordinating with the other human ships. All vessels report ready, Admiral? Thank you, Captain. Commander Kang Ho, you now have two choices. You can order your fleet to withdraw immediately, or you can continue this demonstration. I should warn you, however, that the demonstration will not end well for your ships. This is impossible, Kang Ho muttered. You are a primitive species. We were never primitive, Inho corrected. We were careful. There is a difference. Ha Young, monitoring the battle from the science station, realized that everything was going exactly as the humans had planned. They had not been surprised by anything. They had counters ready for every council tactic. They had been preparing for this exact situation for decades. "Sir," the tactical officer reported to Kang Ho, "3 more ships are requesting permission to withdraw. Their defensive systems are failing under human targeting." "All ships, retreat to minimum safe distance," Kang Ho ordered reluctantly. "A wise choice," In Ho said. "Before you go, I want to make something clear. Humans did not want this confrontation. We offered genuine partnership. We suggested mutual cooperation. You chose to interpret our offers as weakness." "We were following standard council procedures," Kang Ho protested. "And that is the problem," In Ho replied. "Your procedures assume that all species will submit to superior force. But what happens when you encounter a species that refuses to submit?" The question hung in space between the two fleets. "You get situations like this one," In Ho continued, "where your assumptions lead to conflicts that could have been avoided." "What do you want?" Kang Ho asked. "The same thing we wanted from the beginning, to be left alone to live our lives in peace, to trade freely with whoever we choose, to defend our territory and our people, to be treated as equals, not subjects. The Council will never accept that. Then the Council will have to learn to accept it," In Ho said firmly, "because we are not going anywhere, and we will not be conquered." As the alien fleet withdrew, Ha Young realized that everything had changed. Humans were not the harmless species the Council had believed them to be. They were something far more dangerous, a species that combined advanced technology with the discipline to use it wisely. And they had just taught the Galactic Council a lesson that would echo throughout the galaxy. The age of easy conquest was over,